Hey everyone, and welcome back to a new episode here of The New Byte. My name is Hostes and I'm doing an impressions video today of The Division 2. The open beta just ended and I gotta say, yeah, that was refreshing. It was actually quite good. After playing a little bit with Anthem and just not getting on with it, man, The Division 2 was just really nice. Like, only nice, but still good enough, I guess. So I'm a guy who played like The Division 1 for tens and not even hundreds of hours, but definitely past the 40 hours, I think, at least, so I know what I'm talking about. I played it in different versions, I played different parts of contents and all that, so I think I can say I'm fairly familiar with everything that The Division 1 had, especially with the sort of Battle Royale mode, which was called Survival. And now coming back to The Division 2 again, felt just great. I certainly missed the closed beta first because I was on a vacation, and now that I got back to the open beta, which was certainly better still because, yeah, a few patches have been done for this new version, and of course we also one more mission, and I gotta just say, it's not bad. The first thing that I actually noticed is the writing is still like, it's not there, I guess. I mean, there's some part of stories, but the stories are so superficial, I could just literally skip all through of them. And you know what? I don't really mind. It's a game that you can just play away, just for the gameplay's sake, and have some fun with that. Try to do stuff, try and exchange weapons and all that. And for the story, I just literally didn't care. But other than like Anthem, at least, there is other stuff that's still interesting around it. But before I squash that, of course, well, in The Division 2, we are again building up our city and our home bases. But this time we have like multiple bases and not just residential homes where you can just fall back to. We have more interactions, we can actually go a bit more deeper in the RPG aspect and still also a bit more simplified as well. Missions feel great, lengthy, and have a good amount of time spent with different areas that you can really identify yourself in and say, okay, yeah, this is like a cool basement, this is very logical. There's nothing that is really repeating itself and it's not boring after all. And even the side missions feel like actual missions now. They're a bit smaller in scope, but I gotta say, this is exactly what I wanted. Because in The Division 1, the side missions were literally just repeating 4 or 5 different kinds of higher level enemies after a few zones. This time, of course, now in Washington DC, we have also the zones with levels in, but at least from what we saw in the first zone, the missions were actual missions, so different mini parts that you have to do. We had to, for example, explode some boxes that the enemy had lying around. We had to recover more energy, of course, for our shade network, so we can actually recruit more of the Division agents, and so on. It really felt like the side missions were an important part for the overall progress, and they also helped a lot to level up as well. So good on you, Massive, actually, for writing side missions that are worth your time and not just the main mission. Of course, the loot shooter aspect also means, is there good loot in there? And I gotta say, yeah, the Division still continues so far, at least what we've seen from Division 1, when there's a lot of more average weapons that we saw already, a good selection, definitely, and what I can say, although they don't look that specific, you have all the kind of things that you want to have, and although you're flipping through them a lot, of course, in the beginning, they don't feel really that bad. Each time you get a new weapon you say, okay, this is maybe a DMR, but at least it's getting a little bit better. And if you have an AK-47, for example, that you just want to play instead, although it has a rather high recoil, I still think it's good to switch away from something that has more control over it just because it's more powerful. So the advantages and disadvantages really feel like they're well balanced, and there's always a good reason to upgrade with the next level that you have. Hopefully for the end game we have more interesting named weapons that also look a bit more different. We already saw that, of course, in the Division 1, so I'm fairly certain this will be continued in the Division 2 as well. Just saying, like, this is nothing too special right now with the weapons as is, but we only saw a small portion of it, and hopefully towards the end we see more cool gear that's actually worth grinding towards, for example for materials so we can craft it, or just do missions over and over again so they drop on enemies. And talking about enemies, yes, the Division 1 probably was one game where you would really say it doesn't make much sense that these people have that much armor and that much life. And in the Division 2, at least it seems a little bit more reasonable. Even the smallest grunts have some body armor at least, so it makes sense that they can take in a few bullets. And they're even harder to kill enemies later on, which are really heavily armored and you really have to shoot it down. Oh, and this is a new thing actually. You can open out a vulnerable space so you can shoot it down, and it takes a lot of time to shoot down these shields, of course, but if you focus your fire on, for example, an arm or something, he gets down very easily then after that. So it's narratively making a bit more sense. It doesn't feel that weird anymore, I'd say, at least. And certainly, while this does not count for everyone, of course, there are also the enemies that are a little bit too powerful. In the end, I would say it does seem more reasonable now why some enemies can take so many shots in. I really hope for the final game that we have some more incredible enemy sets that also go on, like maybe on Hind D, for example, that we can shoot down, or a tank or something, just like with the raids that we had in Division 1, but just in regular missions, because they make more sense than that, of course. From the looks of it, of course, the enemies are not that special looking right now, at least. In the Division 1, you could see at least, okay, these are the gang members with the hoodies, then we have the cleaners that always had the flamethrowers ready and such, and of course the ex-police division. Here it's more just like, yeah, gangbangers on the streets, not much else for now. Which I hope changes up a little bit later on in the full game, but we'll see when it comes out on March 15th. And enough talking about enemies, there's of course one more aspect to the game, and the things that are just looking really awesome, I gotta say. Coming from the Division 1, I really fell in love with the snow map, where it was dark, cold. It really created an atmosphere that I could sort of lose myself in, because I was thinking, yes, this is New York, this is Manhattan in the winter. And although maybe winter itself is not that nice, but because I didn't feel cold, at least I could say, ah, this is nice to walk through here, it makes a lot of sense, it's dark. We tried to survive the dollar flu that was there then. And now it's a little bit later in the story time, and it's Washington DC, now it's summertime actually. It's cool that they have lots of weather effects going for it now. So it's not just cold and winter and maybe a bit of snow, but actually there's sunshine and rain and a bit cloudy. So overall it looks really cool actually, I gotta say. But I have to say also that because it was missing that really, I think, rather distinctive snow setting, it feels more generic walking through DC. But of course, again, I haven't seen the full map yet, so this is just a very brief impression that I have of the map and the setting. Alright, let's talk a little bit about customization and of course leveling up. I played the game on PC and I don't know about the performance on consoles. On PC I had some very interesting issues. There was the graphics settings which apparently reduced frame buffering, but also it just kept my frame rate at 50 FPS, playing at 3K. Because I played the game in super wide. As you can see here, there's a picture that I took. I played it via the NVIDIA Surround gaming and was actually able to record just the center monitor. So that's also the reason why you don't see the open beta icon on the left of my video recordings, because actually the UI didn't scale it in a way that it was shown permanently in the center screen. It was actually on the left screen. But trust me, as this is open beta footage, I'm not trying to screw you around or anything. It's just the way I recorded it accidentally hit the open beta icon. But actually the customization, yeah. The menu system is actually horrible. I did not like it at all. You had to click double or press a spacebar if you clicked on something, because the first click is always just selecting the thing, and then the second one is actually activating it. Or for example, if you want to see one part of your equipment, you have to double click it first to see the whole selection of parts that you have for that slot, and then you could select the thing that you want to have. I'd rather have a quick system where I just click once and go in. So please, Massive, fix this. And on the other hand, there's so many like sub menus which are really confusing and not really accessible, at least to me. For mods now, you can either press F or have to right click and then select from a drop down menu mods. Why? Why is this a thing? Please make it a little bit easier for us. Other than that, you have now in your home base a way to upgrade your skills, of course, change around your abilities, unlocking both abilities but also perks that help you to carry more things like grenades, for example, and also of course the stuff that helps you to further mod your weapons that you can unlock there. There's lots of things that you get rewarded with very fast, at least in the open beta. That might change in the full game later on, but you actually progress much more through the sort of ability tree that you have. You can pick if you want to have first more, for example, crafting material slots, or if you want to have more health kits first that you can carry on you. And talking about abilities, actually, there's the thing that I really liked. In the Division 1, for example, that little ball that was on the ground, it just automatically rolled towards the enemy that it saw first and then exploded. Here now in the Division 2, you can actually say the C command, hey, actually go there and target this specific enemy, and it literally waits for you and follows you after a few seconds if you don't target to a specific enemy first, so you can move closer and then mark somebody. The same thing also goes, for example, for the turret. If you just place the turret and you see, okay, it's actually shooting after somebody that's hiding behind the wall, but there's somebody else that's in the open, you can target that person specifically with the press of a button. I really like that you can sort of fine-tune your abilities and your gadgets that you have and use them in a more strategic way. And it certainly helps, for example, when you're alone in a mission that's getting a little more hectic, you can actually focus the fire of these things while you have to wait behind cover and have to apply your own armor kit, for example. Because yes, not only in combat do you have your gadgets with more flexibility in use, you also have a different way how your health works. Quickly explained, it's very simple. The better level your gear is, the more slots you have, of course, for your armor. And your armor, once it goes down, will sort of make you open up for bullets directly. And of course, you as human don't take that much damage before you go down, so always keep in check that your armor is always on full, or at least full enough to survive the fight. And talking about this, there's also one more thing: movement in the game. I think in the Division 1 already we were rather clunky and not really that agile. And in the Division 2 it continues on, where we are actually really clumsy. Really feels weird, at least on PC. When I want to traverse, for example, from one cover to another, I go out of it by pressing space, I go then shift, run forward and hopefully run, but it feels like there's a small delay where it just takes a bit longer, and in that time, or very often at least, when I had only a minimal amount of armor, I was shot down so quickly. And if I want to stick behind the cover again very quickly after I traverse somewhere, so for example, I got shot down even faster because it didn't work at times, because apparently my character's animations need to finish first, and that was not a very good experience, I tell you that. People have already reported about low frame rates and crashes. I did not have them. I played only on Sunday afternoon, so yeah, the 5 hours that I had actually were only played in one day. Again, I was sick on the weekend, but at least I got some hours in. And to me, nothing bad happened so far. I think this is just the reason that I have to remind ourselves of, okay, this is an open beta. If there are connection issues, these can happen. Hopefully in 2 weeks this will be more ironed out, but who knows how it will actually be. There's sometimes more bugs that could be found if you have more time in the game. For example, if you shoot an enemy and all of a sudden the sound cuts off, which was noticed by Reddit, of course, and many other YouTubers that I saw talk about the game already. I was thinking, okay, I did not notice that, but this is really weird. Hopefully it gets fixed. So there's a few issues here and there in the game that's really making the game less enjoyable, but not completely unenjoyable, at least from what I see. Alright guys, we've been talking about already, so let's make a cut here. Would I actually play this game on day one? And I have to say, I don't know. I think it's a very good game. It probably will not replace Destiny completely for me, but it's certainly something different that I want to play. And who knows, maybe the end game actually, with the Dark Zone and everything, which I have not tried out yet, sadly, because of time reasons. I have to say, yeah, I guess I could really start with it. We'll just try it on day one. Depends really what I want to do on day one. Maybe I'll join a week later or so, but I'm definitely interested in the Division 2 and want to play it down the road. Alright guys, and that's it. I hope you liked my video here on the Division 2 open beta, and let me know what you think about it if you played it yourself. Of course, follow us here on Twitter, on Facebook, or on Instagram if you want to see even more stuff surrounding us in the New Byte, especially with Emily and Dan also doing their own stuff. And I hope I'll see you soon again in the next video. My name is Hostess. Have a nice day and talk to you soon.